So, greenhouse gases are the contributing factor to climate change, but an astounding fact about that is that 20% of the greenhouse gases that are emitted are actually from the food system, so food production, packing, and cooking. The average food item in America travels 1,500 miles from farm to plate, and if it's inside the country, generally they'll use like a diesel truck to transport them around as they want to pack them all really tight. Packing more meat tightly and in larger trucks allows them to use fewer truck transportation, which is cheaper for the companies that distribute the food. And so another thing is that ships are also used because we get a lot of our food. We import a lot of our food, but ships use less fuel than diesel trucks, even if the ships travel a farther distance to get to us. To avoid using a larger carbon footprint than you need to, a lot of people recommend that you eat more local foods. So using the foods that are grown and cultivated by local farmers allows basically the not only will the produce be fresher for you, but it will also be much more efficient to travel to you and will be releasing much less carbon than having to travel across the country. So basically, the biggest thing in the food processing industry that releases the most fossil fuels is meat production. It produces more fossil fuels than producing fruits, vegetables, nuts, or grains produce. Carbon dioxide is emitted from the fossil fuels, which fossil fuels are like gasoline or natural gas, and can be used to power farm machinery and transport food. Another gas that is most commonly produced is methane. Methane can be found inside by the fermentation of guts of the livestock and is typically in cows. Plowing and fertilizing release nitrous oxide, which is a smaller in comparison to carbon dioxide and methane, but is still one of the biggest greenhouse gases there is. Overall, it was found that if people switched from eating meat-rich meals to vegetarian ones, then the average meat-eating person would be emitting about 14 fewer tons of carbon dioxide, which is 1,230 kilograms. A survey in the 1990s was conducted, and they used around 65,000 participants, and they found the common foods that the people ate and linked them to carbon emissions. These carbon emissions found that people who ate between 50 and 99 grams of meat per day in their meals released an average of 5.6 kilograms, 12.4 pounds, of carbon dioxide, while vegans would contribute about 2.9 kilograms, or 6.4 pounds, of carbon emissions. Using this data, we can conclude that the vegan lifestyle in terms of eating and carbon emissions is much more environment friendly and will reduce the climate much less than we are currently. The average American eats around 265.7 pounds of meat per year, which is much more in comparison to other countries such as Britain. So, in conclusion, basically, the food processing unit in the world produces around 20% of carbon emissions. However, there are many ways to avoid using so much carbon, such as using local foods produced by the farmers that are nearby you. In addition to it, it'll also allow you to get more organic and fresher foods, so it is a benefit for the environment and for you. Right now, meat consumption is very high, especially in America, and that meat consumption, through all the processing and transportation and consumption that it goes through, emits carbon dioxide. And so one of the solutions that is found to reducing carbon emissions is simply by reducing meat intake, not completely removing it at all, but just eating less than we already do.